So we're doing this thing. Who has had a good time so far at Wild West Hackin' Fest? Who's had trouble with the Wi-Fi? Who's a T-Mobile customer? So you have shit for service out here. Yes, enjoy it. It's my thought that John's actual plan was just to bring us all here, his most elite friends who travel the world and have no service in a place like this, so we have to use an open Wi-Fi network. He's just poning us all as we speak. So yeah, many of us have fun gigs though. Many of us have really fun jobs. People come up to me a lot and they say, oh my gosh, Deviant, you know, physical security and breaking in, your job is so cool, I like it. And yes, I get it, right? Like being the break-in guy is fun. If you've never met me, I run a covert entry team, Robert, Bobek, and our crew of hooligans in places we shouldn't be. But the funny thing, people kind of romanticize this notion, like yes, our ops division does very dynamic door kicker stuff, but for this one scene here, and this was a photo shoot when an article came out about what we do, they were like, oh yeah, get some picks in your hands, right? And so like, I'm here picking a door. Now, everyone has said to me, I'm known as this lockpicker, and like maybe I've taught some of you about lockpicking. If you've ever seen like any of these animations that TOOOL has on all of our slides, like if you've ever learned how a lock works, and you say, oh, they're little pins and they bind, but they push up with a key, and if I don't have a key, like how do I get in the lock? Like I've taught about lockpicking forever. And everyone thinks of me as this lockpicker, and they say, oh yes, so like I'd love to have that job, man. Like that's, you know, you at a door at 2 in the morning with those picks out, I wish I could do that and get paid. Which, again, like sure, that's fun, and I have picked locks to get into secured spaces. But this shit here, manipulating the pins with like pick tools, it's something like the 9th thing on the list of stuff we try to get into buildings. And this whole talk is not, this is like the last lock-picking slide in the talk, because this is not a lock-picking talk. Hooray. I know, hooray is what I say, because I'm so tired. Hey, you made it. I'm so tired of talking about lockpicking. I love when someone new is learning it, right? And if someone's never done this and they get it, and it's this whoa moment, that's fun. But I gotta stop this illusion that we are picking lock. Like, how many times do you pick a door? You don't. Johnny, you like fuck, yeah. Vince and you, like, you don't really pick doors. This shit is great. That's not what we do. So let's talk about how physical pen testers actually get into buildings, how real covert entry tends to work, and how you fix almost all of it. Dumb shit, right? Like right off the bat. I've legit knocked hinge pins out of doors. You just bang a hinge pin out, walk the door. I don't care how many locks are on the door. If you can walk that door away from the frame, walk in. This is a thing that you can do with like a nail or a nice little orange tool so you don't bust up your fingers. But again, like all these locks on the door, what you don't see are hinges. Hinges are on the outside of this door. This is an absolute method that gets you into places. And stupid easy to fix. I'm giving you like easy ones off the bat here. This is a security hinge. The door swings shut, little peg goes in a little hole. Doesn't matter if you bang the hinge pins out, you can't wrench that away from the door frame because the peg is in the hole. Like literally it puts a block from that attack. If you don't want to buy new hinges and rehang all your doors, I'm huge into recommending what are called Jamb Pins. I don't sell any of this stuff. Like I know some of the firms that make it, but like brilliant idea. What are Jamb Pins? You have a conventional hinge. Take out these 2 screws, replace them with Jamb Pins. Take out these 2 screws, replace them with fuck all. You just made a security hinge and you didn't rehang your door. Like $2, I think. Brilliant kind of solutions. Easy, easy stuff. Slipping latches and such. Like people see me like, oh, he's taking a tool out of his pocket. He's gonna open that door. What's he doing? I'm not taking picks out of my pocket. Most of the time, do we have sound, by the way? Oh, no sound. We're gonna need sound. Who's my sound guy back there? Let's see. Anybody? You hear it? All right. Oh, well. Well, I don't know why we're not getting sound, but yell at the guy in the back. He's not doing anything. So yeah, like this is a completely locked door. This is a water treatment facility. This was like the room where they chlorinate and prep the water for the supply. And I'm not picking the lock. I'm just attacking it with a little latch slipping tool. You should not be able to do this on most systems, right? Here's a door.
There's some sound.
There we go. Is there some sound? Can anyone in the back turn the sound the fuck up, please? There's a remote. Oh, wow. This is like Dad's living room remote. Way too many buttons. Is that a thing? Is that happening? I don't know. Whatever. All right, I don't care. I'm going to keep going. But yeah, like this little tool, this little stupid hook that we've been selling in our student kits, we give them to you, you give them to students. It's like a $5 part, and it gets through so many doors. What we're doing here, it's not that you can like reach the latch. Here's a latch you can't reach with a hook because it's got that big plate over it, right? Get yourself a big piece of wire. Oops. The problem is not that you can touch or can't touch the latch. The problem in all these bits of footage here is that the latch is not installed properly. Latches in a modern environment should be what are called dead latches. In fact, this is a picture of a dead latch. Well, let's talk about what is a dead latch, what is not. Well, this is the latch, right? This is what goes into the strike plate, holds the door shut. If you lean on the door does not pop open. You might remember doors that only ever had this. This is what a door used to look like long time ago. And then all of a sudden you started getting this extra little button, sometimes called a guard bolt, sometimes called the dead latch plunger. Has a lot of names. But that extra button that I will highlight in red here, that indicates that you have a dead latch mechanism. The dead latch plunger, or the guard bolt, many people only see it when the door is open. And it's not always in this configuration. Sometimes it's next to the latch. There's a lot of styles. No matter what style you have, you might not know, when the door shuts, that's supposed to be held back. It's supposed to be pressed back into the door by the strike plate. It's not supposed to pop out into the hole. If that is pressed back, that latch is now dead. You can't hook it, slip it, shim it, anything like that. That's how this is supposed to work. But the problem is door fitment. If you don't have the right hardware mounting and you don't have the door hung properly, we see this all the time on doors, man. We've got a nice door, properly locked, okay. This is a piece of trash, literally a piece of plastic garbage, shoved in, boom, server room. Look at the size of that strike plate hole. You could drive a truck into that. Why is it so huge? Is this the strike plate that came with this handle set? What do you think this is? Yes, I heard it. Say it louder. Electronic strike plate. This is a card reader access door. So they retrofit the additional, like the original plate of strike plate. They put like a separate unit, it's a solenoid powered strike. And there's all different configurations of this kind of hardware. We literally know integrators and installers who are like, oh, make sure you always get like the JP41. That's the one with the big hole. It always works. No matter what door the client has, it's no problem. No, that is not how this is supposed to work. You are really undermining your security. Another door, another water facility, right? Nice lock. I mean, I'm a decent enough picker. I'm not going to try to pick this. Why not? Because boom, bad door fitment over and over and over. And like, you don't want me in there. I don't belong in this room. $5 hook gets me in when a nice lock could have prevented me if they had properly set the door up. Let's talk about this kind of door fitment problem. You got crash bars. Let's just reach through. You've told stories like this forever. What happened there? I was like talking and pointing at Johnny, right? Let's watch that again. Crash bar. Let's get a bent rod and just slip it through and bam, hit the door, right? Absolutely works. Why? Because weather stripping is not a security device. Weather stripping is not the same thing as a plate or even a movable astragal of metal. If that is just rubber or that little brush material, if I can slip something through and smack on that crash bar, they make specially designed tools just for this. Here's Robert, one of our guys on our team, reaching through with a reinforced tool, hitting the crash bar, bam. Exit paddles, smaller target. How many times do you see glass doors? Glass doors are wonderful because you can see exactly what you're hitting or not hitting. But going back, you can barely see. It's a really dark photo. You can't see it here easily. You can see it in the video, though. Sometimes, is this daytime or nighttime? What is it? It's like 3 in the morning. I know it's a little bit white out here, but it's very dark out. This is a low occupancy structure at night. What could they have done and not violated code? They could have set the deadbolt. It's right fucking there, right? Well, this tool, there's a tool that exists for this. The idea of a deadbolt, again, for code, many of these attacks, as y'all know, like fire code and actually egress like restrictions and allowances, you have to set up doors certain ways. If you have a deadbolt, it probably has a thumb turn on the inside. This tool exists. I have it in my room. This is a thumb turn flipper. You stick it through the door and you go broop, broop. Absolutely, like these tools are out there, man. They are not expensive. And again, like here we have a nice, this is a classic California office building. Why? Because it has frameless glass doors. Oh my God, California, where the weather is so nice you don't care about insulation. Frameless glass doors everywhere. So yes, reach through with the tool. The hardest part was just getting it to stop slipping off. The knob was so tiny. But eventually, sure enough, you get it on there, you twist. It's just like a braided cable attached to, it's not a sophisticated tool, right? But eventually, bam, well that's open. Post office near where I live, you can see like right on the other side of the door, I'm not gonna go steal a bunch of mail or anything, but the gap is huge, you could get through there. Tesla dealership, of course it's California, why? Because frameless glass doors, that's why. Middle of the night, no one around. I'm not saying I wanted to duplicate Tiger Team and like steal a car, but absolutely, like frameless glass doors, boom, thumb turns. That's the only thing preventing anyone from getting in here, and the gap is like a ½ inch wide. Talk about another gap problem. Here's a locked door. There's some noise. And then Dr. Tran comes through like ninja in a cloud of smoke. What happened there? Many of you know this one already, I hope. This is a lab where we do a lot of prototyping, and we just showed, like Bobbick in the hat just showed Ross, and Ross is like, hey, building owner, Evan, come here, I want to show you this thing I just learned. So you'll see he's trying to do something with a tool up in the time. Bobbick says, no, reposition it a little bit out here, and look through the glass, you'll see the same thing. You'll see this sort of cloud of vapor, and all of a sudden this locked door is no longer locked. Yay! Well, who knows what government, there's a very restricted government tool that they're using. I don't know if you can get it, like talk to someone you know who's kind of spooky. You can find out how to order this. It comes with a one-page, idiot-proof government instruction manual that says hold tool like this. So all you're doing if you invert one of these spray dusters, you're boiling off that R134A, essentially is what's in there, and you're creating this cold gas cloud. What's actually tripping? Many doors have sensors on the inside, especially electronic lock doors. They are called request to exit sensor. If you have a system where you badge in, but you don't have to badge out, you just walk to the door and just open it, you might not realize you have a request to exit sensor. You have, most of the time, a simple passive thermal sensor. It's not the only technology out there. It's far and away the most common one. And if you can get that sensor to trip, in this case just by blowing a cloud of gas through the door unlocks. These are old tricks. You should know them. Dave, if you saw his keynote this morning, he's a big vape guy, he's a big e-cig guy. Oh yeah, so he and Ben 10 recorded, this is one of the best videos ever of it. So like, I don't know if you sub-ohm your coils or something, because he makes this amazing cloud through there. But he's just listening to hear that solenoid, he's listening to hear it trigger, and when he knows that electromagnet is done, bam, door's unlocked. Boom, now unlocked. Yeah, Chris up here, I think he was like, hey Dave, you should try this on that door. This is totally we don't shit where we eat, right? This was the derby class, yeah. And like I think eventually other people kept trying it until the point where there was staff in there, because it's like a staff area, and staff was like, what's the smoke coming through the door? They're like freaking out. I don't smoke, I do drink too much. My wife caught this video once. We're walking home from like a bar. This was late at night, this is a bank, the bank is closed. But I'm like, well, there is a rec sensor up there. And I had just kind of walked out of a bar with a drink. So I just spit that through the door, and like that works. So yeah, man, passive infrared doesn't understand hot, cold, it just says different. Oh, different must be a human. This one up top here, the Honeywell passive infrared sensor, I guarantee you've seen it, or you've seen it rebranded and rebadged as somebody else's. Almost always white, sometimes you see them in black or beige. You will see that everywhere, all over the place. And why are they calibrated this way? Well, you don't want someone with a bunch of boxes to like bang into the door and fall over. These are tuned, and the installers mount them in a way to get the most wide spectrum hit, because they don't want to be called out repeatedly, hey, the rec sensor's not working, it's not picking us up, it's causing, Mary just fell down with her cane and her walker. The installer doesn't want that. Installers and integrators want to always have these things trip. So you're going to see that on a lot of doors because it's got really good coverage, and you're going to always see it open the door. What is this on the bottom though? That's your solution. GE is the only one I've ever seen that reasonably brings to market a dual technology rec sensor. Yes, it does passive infrared. It also does microwave radar. So it has to see some temperature change, and it also has to see something vaguely human-sized coming vaguely toward the door. We knew like Hacktress 09 Val. Val actually, she'll put balloons through doors and blow them up and let them go, because the old trick with the PIRs, you usually just put them further away from the door. You just put them down the hall. And you know, if I'm trying to gas the door, like I'm not hitting it. So her solution for that was like send balloons like blowing down the hall to try to trip them. GE's product will stop that. I don't work for GE. I'm not here shilling for like Mubix and his buddies. Mubix still with GE? I don't know. No? All right. But yeah, it's the only dual technology sensor that I've ever seen that's good for this. Also code. Let's talk about door handles. When's the last time you've seen a door knob, like in an office? You don't, because if someone like has reduced grip and tactile function, or what if someone doesn't have a hand? They need to be able to get in and out of the building, especially in emergencies. Lever-style door handles are the norm now. Well, inside, I mean, you see the front one facing me that's locked and has a, you know, shitty little HidProx reader. On the inside, there's also a lever handle, which many times that's going to be the case. There are tools like this that exist. This is an under-door tool. I'm doing a little show with a guy named Tyler Gray. He's like, well, show me this tool. And his cameraman is like, how would you get in here? And they expected me to do something at the door. They didn't realize I just knelt down and kind of banged the door open. And actually, it's funny, the cameraman was like, can you do that like again, like slower? That was way too fast. I didn't understand what was happening. Well, these are actual tools that we use on jobs. What we're doing with this tool, it's called an under-door tool. We're reaching a rod under the door. And because modern doors have those lever-style handles, they're really, really trivial to grab that handle and hit it on the inside. I'll show you a picture flipped around in a second. This is Robert, middle of the night, getting into a server room. You know, people see this video and they see him crouched down like, oh, he's going to unscrew like with a multi-tool to get through that, crawl through the grate. No, he's not. He's going to lean his head into the door and just push it open. Because on the inside, we're just swinging a rod, pulling down on a line and yanking this handle. Absolutely works. Because when's the last time you've been in the server room and had to badge out? Some real secure facilities, maybe. Most of the time you hit the handle and you leave. There are solutions for this. There are what are called dynamic door bottoms. This little animation shows you a black plunger. If this black plunger gets pushed in, what happens? You'll see this bottom bar drops down. So when the door shuts, that bar drops down. Now this is not a security product. This is like a heating and cooling insulation product. But the same principle applies to much more robust models. So a company called Pemco, P-E-M-K-O. Pemco makes the door bottom. Now they're sold by Assa Abloy. Big contoured floor plate, interlocks in this metal bar. And unless that plunger is relieved of its pressure, that door bottom is dropped down. You're not getting a tool underneath the door. Now you might get something over the door. This is a video from Utah, a buddy of ours named the InfoSec Pope. He loves demoing this. All he uses is 35mm film. For the young kids in the room, film is what we used to take photographs with. But he literally just feeds a bow of film over the door, walks it over to the handle, and then pulls. And you might not do this as a user, but if you pull up on a handle, it's usually going to open the door. So pull, bam, that door's open. And I mean, Pemco makes the door bottom. I've never seen anyone sell the door topper. So like, what do you actually do to prevent this problem? Well, consider a shroud. I was one time working an under-door tool in this one job, and I'm like, shit, god damn it, shit. And I've like radioed to Robert. I'm like, Robert, get in here. Can you? And Robert's trying, and he's like, son of a bitch. Bobbitt comes around from another building, and he throws a borescope under the door. And we're like, oh crap, what is that? And eventually, like with the borescope, we could kind of see and wiggle the tool, and we got it open. And I asked the client, I was like, man, that one door gave us freaking hell. Where did you get these things that you installed in the server room? And they're like, oh, they were like on the building when we got here. I don't know what this used to be like a storeroom or something. These are like in Grainger catalogs. These are so carts don't crash into door handles. They're just shrouds for like protecting the door handle, not for like security. They're just so you don't bang into it with stuff. Brilliant, no money solution. If you've ever been in a hotel and you've seen the door handle mounted like down, who's seen this before? Hotels know about this, man. Hotels have had break-ins with under door tools. They mount these handles down for a reason. This is one of my favorite pictures. RenderMan sent me this. And I've started to see hotels and other doors with these like little clips. I was like, I stayed in a hotel once for like a week in San Francisco on this job, and I'm, you know, talking to the staff late at night, hanging out, bullshitting. I'm like, hey, so I gotta ask you. The freaking clip thing that looks very out of place on the doors, is that like under door tools? And the guy was like, oh yeah, we have people breaking into rooms and stuff. I was like, I gotta know where you get these. My clients could, because that would be a fucking nightmare trying to get an under door or over door attack. He's like, well, you know the closet in your bedroom with the slidey doors? Yeah, these are just those little feet that like you put in the carpet on slide, like literally at Home Depot, $4. If you don't care that it looks a little weird, put these on your server room door, man. It will completely frustrate the hell out of me. So I love this kind of thinking. I love weird and hilarious ways of getting in. And I've got because it's this crowd, I added some funny shit, right? Like stealing keys. You think we're above just outright stealing stuff. This was the security cart on a facility once. We just found it. And I was on a job with a guy. I was actually subbed in on a job. Had every effing key. Like everything all over the building. And of course, like, yes, we stole it. I'm not going to, I guess we're allowed to say, Jay wouldn't mind, I'm not going to say who it was, but like eventually we just stole the cart and just drove it around. Because if you get to that point, I mean, you know on jobs where you're like, you've gotten everything and there's still time and you call the client and you're like, so we're in everything, they haven't stopped us, do you want to start doing stupid shit? And the client's like, yeah, just push it. So yeah, we literally took this little golf carty thing and drove it around the parking lot until it ran out of juice. And we were like puttering back at like no miles per hour just to try to get it back to where we left it. So it looked really, and we're not in uniform. No one stopped us. But I love that like all the keys were there. Lockboxes, oh my God, talk about stealing keys. Stealing keys from a lockbox. These show up on a ton of buildings, possibly your buildings. If you have infrastructure like cell towers and stuff on high buildings and other contractors are coming in to service that gear, I bet you there's lockboxes somewhere that you might not even know about. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 different people have to get into this building. I can't even think of that many cable and wireless providers. I don't know what's going on here. These kind of boxes. Oh my God, telephony boxes, right? This I just throw in because mostly, you know, Chris knows this guy in this slide. You guys, Dennis is a good cat, right? Dennis is standing next to a linear access control box. I am standing next to another brand called DoorKing. Let's talk about these two big players in the industry, just because this is stuff that's not usually in my slide deck. I just had to throw you some fun shit, right? Most of the stuff that cracks me up when it comes to stealing the key, like, I don't even think it counts as stealing in the instance of like linear. You got this nice lit up keypad, you got the little W grill. Linear boxes all have the same key. It used to be called the A126 key. It's not really, it's the 222343 key, but if you Google like linear key or linear 222343 or linear A126, you'll get this key. It's the same key on all the frickin' panels. It's not a restricted key or an expensive key, but it lets you do crap like this. So here we have a locked door. Now my wife is going to enter through a different technique. Beep, whoops. This is actually the apartment where we stuck Marcus Hutchins while he was waiting for trial, so we only got one key fob. We cloned it to her hand so she could come and go and have an extra key. But now I don't have the key fob. The door is locked. So what can I do? Well, linear boxes are all keyed alike. A126 key, there's a little momentary switch and just boom, flip the relay. So that works. Same key on all these boxes, man. Absolutely. So yeah, DoorKing, the one I'm standing next to here, I personally think DoorKing has even more market penetration. Do they have the same key? Yes, they do. The 16120 key. It's been the DoorKing key, I think, since 1992. And it's never, like, I go to trade shows. I go to like the trade shows with all this gear, and the DoorKing booth is huge. And I just walk around and I like use my key and just open stuff and just walk away. Every few hours, just walk by the booth. This was like a giant parking gate arm, like a huge crash barrier thing, and it's, again, 16120 key. They're all the same key. DoorKing systems. Let's dive into this for a moment here. We got a lot going on here. All right? You can always, always, always tell a DoorKing system. Boom, 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 AZ call. Those 3 huge buttons. You'll spot them a mile away. Now there's not just that. We clearly have HID procs going on here. We'll talk about electronic credentials. But let's get right into it, all right? Let's use our 16120 key. Look at all these electronicals. Well, there's a lot of stuff going on in there. We got a big bank of connections here. What's going on in this terminal block? Well, punch in doorking manual.pete file type PDF in Google. You get a big manual with this on one of the pages. What's the most giant writing you see on this page? Relay 1, relay 2. Those are the door relays right there. They're just dry contacts on the frickin' panel. So if you have like door relay 1, either normally open or normally closed, you can just bridge that circuit and like, oh, boom, fire the relay, open the door. Fire relay 2, open that door. So in this case, do you see how this is wired, by the way? You can see one common, and you can see what? Normally open. So that tells you this is probably a solenoid-powered door lock. So normally there's no power. Put power just literally by bridging that with a piece of wire. The door suddenly is open. There's another useful feature, however, if you don't want to like carry around wire, and I'll show you what I carry around. Way up top, let's look at this, PSW function. What is PSW? It's Postal Switch. A closure between these terminals in the common will cause whatever relays are set up, however they're set up, to fire. How does this normally work? In fact, is the Postal Switch wired up? Yes, it is. It's right there, a little white and a little blue. Little white and blue that come down, you got these two bean connectors and they come somewhere else. Let's look all the way down in the front. Amazingly low tech. This is the Postal Switch right here. It's literally just a momentary. And on the front of the panel, you'll see they have these knockouts that you can just bang out a piece of metal and install your own lock. And the tail piece of that lock just comes around and hits the momentary switch. Many, many door kings are installed this way. So we got a locked door. Now, of course, you know, we could clone the HID procs, we could install a sniffer, whatever we want. We don't really care what lock they're using for the Postal Switch, because it could be a good lock, it could be a bad lock, I don't give a damn, because I have the 16120 key. Oh no, oh laptop. Don't do things that laptops sometimes do. You're killing me. Who's pwning my laptop? So ultimately here, hopefully we can get it to play, because it's really hilarious. This is outside of like Romer's apartment, I think. We were in town for band practice, and you know, we called him up, he wasn't answering. Like, try Shaggy, he wasn't answering. And I was like, do you want me to just let us in? So, you know, we walked inside. So, you know, we have this Postal Switch. Let's see if my 16120 key works, if our video plays nice. Here we go. Momentary switch, fires, doors unlocked. How many buildings have these on them and people don't realize? Many times it's not like your office, right? It might just be the front vestibule. But if I can get in, if I can leverage this access in and find a way, then I get the next step, I get the next step, I ride the elevator, etc. If you're keeping keys like on you, oh my God, there's a whole talk I did with Howard Payne. The CH751 is like the everything key. It's the most common key in this country for all kind of dumb stuff. Every little wafer lock, everything like steal toilet paper. I don't know what you're doing. If you're, you know, you live in a trailer, you need toilet paper. I'll steal it from this hotel, whatever. Like the CH751, my favorite story was we were on a job, we got into an office, like a room in this office building, and there were all these filing cabinets on the wall. And we're like, whew, I don't want to pick every one of these open to see which one has the valuable shit. But let's try a CH751, pfft, totally worked. And it turns out every one of them had valuable shit. It was like their HR archives going back years. The great part, and I just added this story because Keijo gave his talk, and he talked about finding the exploit from the last job you were on, like still on the server. We found this, we showed the client, we're like, boy, these are really terrible filing cabinets, and you're leaving this around in a room that we just waltzed in. So the client was like, oh my God, we'll get on that. We were hired 7 months later to a different office, and we got into like another room, and we're like, whoa, look at all these filing cabinets. And we opened them, we're like, are these the same wow, these are the same filing cabinets. They had moved them from one office to another office, but didn't actually change them. So we had the same finding, just in a different state. CH751 all day long. For maximum low-larity in the key-to-like space, stick 1284X into your Google engine, right? Look at some image searches. You're seeing a lot of the same vehicle here. The 1284X is the Ford Motor Company's fleet key. The number of Crown Vics and Excursions and Explorers in this country that are key to like to 1284X, tons of police departments in this country will all, and not even knowing it, that all of their cruisers are the same key. And what's the most common use of a Crown Vic after it's got enough use hours and they have to kick it out of the force? Taxis. They auction them off and many become taxis. There are cities in this country where the entire taxi fleet is key-to-like, and it's key-to-like to the entire police fleet. 1284X is not a restricted key. It's not a special, like, this is the paper still attached to it from Home Depot. If you get a 1284X, take it to Home Depot, cut as many as you like. Yes, it will open the doors. Yes, it will open the glove box. Yes, it will open the trunk. Nothing interesting in a cop's trunk, right? And it's not a chipped key. It's not a key lock. It's nothing like that. Yes, it'll start the freaking car. So if you have cop friends, and we have plenty, show them the 1284X. If you get your hands on one, it might pop their eyes out. If you're curious, my like everyday key ring that sometimes people will see me with, they say, what do you actually have in your pocket all the time? Well, I have an elevator key, the most common elevator key on me at all times. I have the two most common filing cabinet keys, the C415A, CH751. I definitely carry that 1284X because it's funny, right? I have a couple jigglers because why not? Little tiny jigglers that we make if I can't get through a simple shitty lock. This is my wire bridge when I'm attacking Door King and other boxes. It's just a paper clip that I burned the insulation off the tips and looped it around. Door King key, if you didn't get it earlier, is the 16120. Linear, the 222343, which is sometimes called A126. And a cuff key. That's my smash right there. That's like Deviant's devious key ring. Giving you pearls here. I don't think I've ever shown this slide before outside of our training, so woohoo, there you go. Because I love you, John Strand, and everyone else who invited me here. If you are not an electronic person, in fact, you know, we were talking about this earlier, about where I hire people from. Our team, we either have people that came from the electronic digital world, and we sort of train them up on physical, or we've pulled people who are door kickers. They're just cops and other people that were like, hey, want to make a better salary and not be evil? Come work for us. And like, we have to train those people on electronic. Learn some things about electronic access controls. Learn a little bit about badge systems. It's not that hard to get you spun up. We can get you spun up in a day or two on basic cloning and sniffing and a lot of credential stuff. The fact that we take long-range readers and weaponize them, Bobak, our electronics dude, changes the guts, packages up a self-contained power supply, power on this reader, let it sit in a bag. You know, the idea of like very Mr. Robot-ish kind of stuff, right? If you've seen that credential grabbing scene, this is real. This is about 18 inches away, credential grab out of someone's pocket. Because with a nice antenna and a good power supply inside that backpack, that reader's gonna grab that card, and it's gonna work. We can talk about that later if you want. We can talk about how if you get the reader off the wall, you can install a sniffer on the backside of the reader. And you can sniff, replay, get credentials that way. There's a whole world out there, and it's not hard. If you've never done any kind of digital electronic work like this, if you are just a doorbuster, this is within your grasp, and I encourage you to get kind of cross-trained like that. Little story time for you now. New stuff. I promised, as I tweeted earlier, it's not. I've given versions of this talk in the past. This is all new, because war stories are great, and we've heard about them from other speakers. So let me give you a few good ones. Most of which, if you had to distill this down, the lesson is just be confident and look like you belong. If you've never seen this footage here, this is a robbery of a Walmart where a guy came in and said, oh, I'm here from Loomis, I'm here for the pickup, you know, I'm the armed guard. He's not the armed car guy. He's wearing a runner's vest with like, you know, weights and a tactical pants and his hat's down. I think they found out later he had an airsoft pistol. And he took $75,000. I'm here from Loomis. No, he got in a Chevy Lumina and drove away. This dude, another guy, keep your hat down and don't bother anybody. Like, I'm just here from, you know, your beverage services. I'm stocking your shelves. No, you're not. This guy hit 7 stores in one weekend in Alabama. He's just stealing beer. He just went in with a cart, loaded the thing up, and just freaking left. Look like you know what you're doing, and people will tend to believe that shit. So, the elevator repair story, all right? We got into a building. It was an interconnect. We gassed off, you know, a REX sensor, because again, you could see it on the ceiling. Honeywell PIR, boom. Gas the REX sensor, get through. Okay, we're in the building. Now, we've got to go. If you, like, the first time you get in, you get that like adrenaline rush. And I'm with somebody on this other job, another company we're partnered with. And this guy's like, man, where do we go? What do we do? I was like, calm down. I got an idea. Let's come find the nearest elevator. We just got in an elevator. Okay. Why? Because I mocked myself up. I'm here from, I've got my little Otis badge, I've got my clipboard, I'm an elevator repair technician. Why not? You want another like great tip from me to you? This is your cover story for being any elevator repair guy ever. Have a stupid clipboard and learn these 3 steps. You press that e-phone, somebody picks up. Many times it's a computer. If it's a human, hello, this is a test of the emergency phone in this elevator. Step 2, can you hear me clearly right now? Step 3, where am I calling from? And that last one flummoxes the hell out of people a lot of the time because they should be able to know where you are in event of emergency. You will sound like a legit elevator tech if you do that. You're not really breaking any laws. You're not causing any harm to the elevator. You can just sit there and just try elevator, try elevator phones. And just to get this dude to calm down, I was like, hey, just relax. Let's try some e-phones, man. So we're just being the elevator techs. And it turns out the third question really flummoxed somebody because it wasn't like a service that went out to Otis line. It was the front desk. And we wound up consistently hitting the front desk and like, oh, is this another one of those elevator tests? Yeah, I don't know where you are though. It just says extension 39. And I'm like, so you can't tell me where I'm calling from? Like, I mean, you're in an elevator. I'm like, okay, sir, I'm gonna have to write down that you don't know where I'm calling from. And it got them all panicked, right? Turns out the security guard was so flummoxed by not knowing where the elevator emergency was. I'm like, don't worry, sir, this is just a test. You're not at fault here. We just have to put this in the notes. That came into play later. So while we're in the elevator, the guy says to me, he's like, okay, so all we got to do is get the phone plug and deploy it. And oh, shit. Oh, man. I didn't grab it. I'm like, oh, you didn't grab the phone plug? Well, the hotel's like 10 minutes away. Just drive back and get it. I'll stay in the building, and I'll let you back in. He's like, okay. That sounds good. You're going to look okay? I'm like, dude, I got my metal clipboard. Like, come on. Who's going to mess up? Metal clipboard's great because you can hide a bunch of tool and gear in it and like all your stuff's in there. But the better thing about the elevator story is if you actually watch the elevator hacking talk, we have a lot of keys that do things. Well, my partner was back at the hotel, which was not going well. He was like, hey man, I got some delays here. I'm like, all right, I'll just hang out in an elevator. So I just disabled an elevator with my keys. I'm just in the elevator, just hanging out. Nothing. I'm like reading Twitter and stuff. Occasionally asking like, hey, how's that going at the hotel? Turns out what happened is his USB keyboard wasn't playing nice with the phone plug. He was hooked up to the hotel TV and he couldn't get so he had to use on-screen keyboard to like set up all the scripts and it was taking forever. And I'm like, dude, that's fine. I got Twitter. I'm fine. I'm just sitting in an elevator. Until I almost had a heart attack because I thought I heard someone banging on the elevator door. Because it's like you're camping in the woods. Like everything sounds loud in the woods when you're asleep. I thought someone was pounding on the elevator. I was like, oh my God, is there like a camera I didn't see? Is there security trying to kick their way in? I'm like, no, calm down. Calm down. It's 5:15. The cleaners are here. They're probably like Windexing the fingerprints off of the hoistway doors. I'm like, all right, calm down. Eventually the guy comes back and he's like, all right, let me in. I'm like, okay, I go to let it. It turns out it wasn't the cleaners. It turns out security had come by the elevator. Not because they thought I was in there. I had been in there so long that they had stuck a sign on the elevator that said, elevator out of order. Do not use this elevator. Use other side of building. Which was great because when we came back in, my buddy and I, now we're the only people in the damn building, security came down a hall and saw us, saw my Otis badge, and went, wow, you got here fast. And I was like, oh yeah, I got that you got that Otis Elite Care service. So like they dispatched us out here. I'm doing things with keys because clearly the elevator's working now that I turned it back on. But he was so thrilled. He's like, were you guys doing that elevator test earlier? I was like, no, that was the other team, but I heard you had some problems. But you know what? The elevator dispatcher is in this room. Can you let me in this room? And sure enough, the guard just like led us everywhere we wanted to go. Because who wouldn't want their elevators to run right? I'm the helpful elevator guy. I'm getting the light on time. I'll give you one more story. I got a couple more stories here, but how much time do we actually have? 5 or 10 minutes? 5? We can do another story and a half in 5. So the armed guard story is a good story. Most guards, a crapshoot. A lot of guards are undertrained. A lot of guards are third party. This was a guard desk that literally had no one at it. And one time I just sat there. I actually took the binder of keys and key cards and just kind of like spun around in the chair, just waiting for a guard to come up to see. I wanted to like know what the hell they would say. And it took so long that I just got up and left. Like the guard literally never showed. Armed guards are a different story. They're a little more mastered. They're a little better with interaction. and they're going to be more cautious. Now, this was an instance where we needed electronic credentials. We really wanted to get in using a badge. And all the employees, like we couldn't get close to the employees at all. They were using a separate entrance. So like the vestibule was the only place we could get in. And during the day, the only people in the vestibule were the armed guards. This was a private development space. Well, we know how to do credential cloning, right? We have our gear, we have our long-range reader that you saw earlier, right? Shove that in a backpack. Once you power it on, shove that, oh, we already saw this video. Shove that in a backpack, get somebody to go in, just try to get close enough. You saw 18 inches or so. So when we said, who's going to go in, right? Well, what does every guard, especially armed guards, kind of wish they want to be? Or maybe they're trying to be? They're trying to be cops, right? Send in a cop. Like Rob's on our team. Rob used to be a cop. We're like, just get in there and cop it up, man. Just talk about cop stuff. So he goes in. Bobek is in the back seat of a rental car in the parking lot, like remote onto the reader. He's like trying to check the status of it and goes out of range because Robert goes in all the way into the vestibule. So Bobek's like, man, I really hope that reader's getting some credentials. And Robert's trying everything. Robert's like getting close, but they're armed guards. So they keep blading off every time he gets near them. At one point, he put it like his bag on a counter, and he was like asking the guard. He's like, hey, is this a good restaurant? I saw it on Yelp. Trying to get the guard to like lean over the counter. Wouldn't do it. So he keeps trying, getting nothing. Finally, at the end of the interview, and he's telling cop stories, right? So he's friendly with them. He's like, all right, well, if he stays any longer, he's like, this is just weird. He's like, all right, fellas, I gotta go. All right, take it easy, man. It's nice meeting you. And the last guard, he just fucking surprise hugs him. And like, very, very Kennedy, he was like, make it a little weird, make it a little weird. All right, brother, all right. And gets out of there. In the car, Bobek is in the back seat, like, what did you do? I'm dying back here. He's like, well, here, check the logs, man. Bobek dumps the creds. He's like, you were in there 47 minutes, and you got one read. And that was it. But then who are we? We're the armed guard at that point. So you never know exactly what's going to work out for you in terms of getting in. I had one other story about, find me in the bar. I'll tell you about some other stuff. But what I really wanted to get to, I'm going to quiz you at the end here. We got a little Q&A, and I promise I'm wrapping it up, right? So I hope you were paying attention, right? What kind of unit is this here? Door King. Why'd you know that? 3 fucking huge buttons. Who remembers the Door King key? 16120 key. Buy it online. What kind of unit is this? It's one of the ones we talked about. It has a little recessed lit keypad. Linear. Linear, absolutely. What's the linear key? A126, or technically 222343. Blurry dark picture, but who is it? Door King, exactly, 3 buttons. You can do this shit on Google Street View. We got a building here, let's zoom on in. You can't see it clearly, but you see a recessed lit keypad. What do you got? You got a linear, A126 key, absolutely. Let's look at this John over here, all right? Can't see it from here, but let's zoom in Google. What do you see? 3 giant freaking buttons, Door King, absolutely. Door King, we got a lot going on here. Let's talk about this. All right, first of all, we clearly got a Door King system. We're using, what key is the Door King key? 16120, go buy one. They're also using old school, fucking prehistoric HID procs. So ProxCard 2, they're using clonable credentials. You could sniff the back end of this because you could pop that circuit board open easily. They've got a ton of key boxes. This was for deliveries. I don't know if that was a CH751, but I'm sure I tried it in there. Little freaking, kitty access point in here. What is this one? Turns out it's also a key box. It's just a different key box. So we have multiple key boxes. We have a lock that we know the key for. We have a clonable cred. There's one more thing that you can also see in this picture. Can anyone tell what I would look for through the windows maybe? You can tell what elevator fixtures they have. So I know what elevator keys I'm going to need. So I can prep my story and I can bomb in there all equipped and ready to rock. So keep these kind of attacks in mind. Keep physical side in mind. Try it out. If you think it's all about lockpicking, you're not exactly right. Most of the time, we're just doing dumb stuff to bypass our way in. But I love sharing this, and I love trying to give a little. Hope you got a couple of pearls in this one to make your jobs easier and your life better and my job harder. Because in the end, that's a win for me. Like, I like being the guy in the server room, but I also like telling people what they did right. And a lot of it's not hard to do. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this.